Back like we never left. This is Stef from Double Move Sports. If you're new to the channel, welcome into the Fantasy Film Room, where we deliver takes with analytics and game film to help you win fantasy titles. Last season we did DJ Moore and Devin Singletary. This year we got Ronald Jones, Kenyon Drake, and a few others. And today's episode comes requested by our boy Nath John, asking about DJ Chark's ADP. If you have a request for players we should break down next, just leave it in the comments below. Lastly, if you like the show, please hit that subscribe button. That is huge for us. Now let's get into it. The Jacksonville Jaguars have entered full rebuild. They sold off their defense, trading away Jalen Ramsey, Calais Campbell, and AJ Boye. Not to mention Telvin Smith, Marcel Darius, and Yannick Ngakoue are all gone. While that doesn't mean much for a Super Bowl or playoff appearance, there is still plenty of value to be found in fantasy drafts. I believe both Gardner Minshew and his favorite target, DJ Chark, are going to continue to defy the mainstream's fantasy expectations in 2020. As of early August, Minshew's ADP is the QB 28, and Chark is going as the wide receiver 23, both of which are screaming values. Both finished the season more than 6 spots higher just last season while in and out of the starting lineup, Minshew with Foles coming in, and Chark with an injury that caused him to miss some time. This is the same Jacksonville team that led the league in time playing from behind last year, and it's hard to see a whole lot changing with the turnover they've had on defense. Gardner Minshew will need to air it out to stay in games, and he'll have plenty of time late in the third and fourth quarter to do it. We all know that we want to invest in teams with good offenses and bad defenses. Think back to 2019 with Jameis Winston leading the league in pass yardage with the Bucs, or Devontae Parker getting funneled garbage time volume and finishing as a wide receiver 1 out of nowhere on the Dolphins. First, let's talk about Minshew and that stash. Before we get into the passing game, we have to talk about one of Gardner's strengths that brings a lot of fantasy appeal, and it's his rushing floor. Minshew is 5th in quarterback rushing yards in 2019 with 344 yards, giving fantasy players who streamed him a nice rushing baseline. Here's a perfect example of how Minshew uses his legs. This is on the road in Atlanta, week 16. It's late in the third quarter. The Jaguars are down 17-3, so this is the garbage time we're talking about. The Jags line up 3 wide, and they decide to take a shot here with a 4 verts play call. The Falcons are in a cover 1 playing man-to-man coverage. The Falcons don't do anything crazy here. They only rush 4. The pocket collapses a bit. The running back pulls the linebacker away on a short in route, and now Gardner sees the opening. He takes off, plenty of space, and a 17-yard gain on 1st and 10. He's no Lamar Jackson on the ground, but he is deceptively athletic. On top of rushing the ball surprisingly well, Minshew was very solid for a rookie drafted in the 6th round. He had a 61% completion percentage, and he had 7 yards per attempt, which was 19th amongst quarterbacks, but that was tied with Aaron Rodgers and actually beat Kyler Murray's 2019 season. Still, those numbers aren't great, but you can think back to Kyler. That's another rookie quarterback with a rushing floor that everyone is expecting a breakout from next season. And with that said, Minshew was putting up over 270 pass yards a game, which is 11 fantasy points. He averaged almost 2 touchdowns a game. So he had up the rushing, the passing, and the touchdowns. And Minshew's floor last year was 19 fantasy points. And he was also smart with the football most of the time. Minshew was 6th lowest in the league in interception rate. And again, you got to remember, this is a rookie thrown in at quarterback in week 1. Here's probably my favorite play between these two. I went back and watched every completed pass between Minshew and Chark, and this one is just, it's great to see. This is Chark here in the slot. He lined up there 21% of the time. That should just say a lot about the way Jacksonville wants to get this man open, and this play epitomizes the chemistry these two players have. And I hate this play call. Look how bunched up all of these receivers are. When guys are bunched up like this, it allows defenders to cover multiple options. Minshew goes through his progressions, doesn't see anyone open because why would he? when everyone's on top of each other like this, and then it's just playmaking time. Minshew scrambles out of the pocket like he tends to do when he doesn't see anybody open, stays on his feet here with a great move. Then in the smallest corner of the end zone, he eyes Chark at the last second, throws a dot, and this is just one of the plays that shows how these two have built a chemistry. Chark had 16 end zone targets, which tied for 5th most in the league. He scored 8 touchdowns last season. For reference, Kenny Golladay led the NFL in receiving touchdowns with 11, and Chark scored right around 25% of Gardner Minshew's 21 touchdown passes. Just like Minshew, Chark was heavily slept on prior to his massive 2019 breakout, getting picked right off the waiver wire and thrown into fantasy lineups week in, week out. Chark went on an absolute tear, finishing as the wide receiver 8 through the first 14 weeks of the season. Chark is a tall, speedy receiver. Think of him as like a slightly faster and smaller AJ Green. And Chark operates in the same way in this offense. He uses his long arms to go up on defenders in high point catches, especially near the goal line. And this is AJ Green to a T. This is week 3 against the Titans. It's just a go route here. Man-to-man with Malcolm Butler. Minshew drops a dime in the end zone. Chark just goes up and makes a play. Big-time players make big-time plays. The hands on this man are incredible. Add in how Chark gets open with speed, and you see why he is a great deep threat option who can command volume. This one is against the Chargers in week 14. It's 3rd and 5. The game's tied 0-0. It's another example of big-time players making big-time plays. The Jags are 4 wide, making it fairly clear they're going to pass here. The Jaguars were 10th in pass plays per game. Minshew tries to use the stack to get a better read on the defense, but it's just Desmond King and DJ Chark matched up one-on-one. King almost on top of him, and this is the connection on display here. Minshew gives him a floater to the back shoulder. Chark uses his body to will his way to a reception and keep the chains moving for Jacksonville. In 2019, Chark saw 8 targets per game. Incredible volume for a receiver with the scoring opportunity and the yard creating abilities that Chark has, putting up over 1,000 receiving yards in just his second year in the league. So you take the volume, the end zone usage, the deep threat utility, and the rapport with the quarterback, and that puts Chark as a high-end wide receiver 2 in our consensus rankings. Right now, people are fading Gardner Minshew and DJ Chark because the Jags are going to, quite frankly, suck, which makes them incredible values for smart fantasy players. We did see the wheels fall off in 2019, but the Jags are at least investing in their offense. They committed to Minshew as their starter early in the offseason. They brought in Jay Gruden, who was the saving grace for the Washington football team for a long time. They signed free agent receiving back Chris Thompson and drafted a receiver with tremendous upside, Laviska Shenault, in the 2nd round. On top of all of this, Minshew and Chark are in the top 5 in terms of easiest strength of schedule in the first part of the season, with matchups against the Dolphins, Bengals, Lions, and the Texans twice. So you can feel great loading up on the other positions in the first 2 rounds of your draft and taking Chark as your wide receiver 2 or 3 and waiting on a quarterback and taking Minshew with one of your last picks or even just streaming him off the waiver wire. The Chark-Minshew connection will continue, and if you invest in this duo relative to their ADP, you will be thanking yourself for all of those fantasy points. Thanks for watching. If you like the show, please hit that subscribe button. That is huge for us. A like is always appreciated if you really did enjoy it. If you have a start-sit question, dynasty questions, or want trade advice, drop it in the comments down below or hit us up on Twitter. Peace.